Hey, guys.
Hi.
Hey, how's it
Good
going?
to have you on the show.
Good to be here.
Cheers. I got my kombucha.
Cheers.
Is that how you say?
Kombucha?
Kombucha?
You got me.
Kombucha. Yeah.
I've got my tea. But I
So
appreciate
thank you for being here. We just wanted to, get a feel for what your experience has been like since you started September 30th.
Mm-hmm.
First off, how did you find OTM? I know how you did, but I mean, you can still talk about it. But
Okay.
how did you find OTM in the full-time program? How did you?
Okay. It's getting thrown back. So I come from an animation background, and I can't do that anymore because of repetitive stress injury to my tendons in my arms. So I've had that career. Now I decided I wanted to pivot and run down the other side of the fence, which is the voice acting of what you see on the screen. And so I started that kind of slapping around in the dark in Portland, Oregon, books, YouTube videos,
all
the whole
that stuff, yeah.
thing. And I got a very, very basic idea, but I wasn't really making any progress. And then I moved up here in 2016, I want to say it is. And I
Right.
found out about On the Mic that there was an actual school that you could show up.
Imagine that.
Yes. And people who... Sorry?
Did you Google it or like?
Yeah, I think I must have. Yeah.
Wow.
And so people that work in the industry, people who know what they're talking about, are teaching classes in it. And, if there's one thing I know is, success leaves clues.
Yeah,
So follow
totally.
the people who have success in it.
Yes.
And this is a school of working professionals. As I said, I came from an animation background, and I saw folks spending tens of thousands of dollars, close to $100,000
Huge.
on master's degrees in animation, and their demo reels at the end were garbage. And I've seen recruiters ask the candidate,
Yeah.
did your teacher work in the industry? And the answer was, well, not really. So
I did a thing back
Right.
in 20 years ago when
Yeah.
Dinosaurs.
Yeah.
So when I saw this existed and I saw the roster of who's teaching it and I saw their background, I said, okay, these are the folks I want. If I'm going to spend time doing something, I don't want to waste it. And
Yeah.
I don't want to waste the money either.
Sure. That's awesome.
So
And it was
that's-
cool.
that's
You
how I ended
came-
up here.
And you essentially came from the part-time and
Yes.
thought, okay, I'm going to go into the full-time.
Oh, yeah. Did you want me to address that?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
sure. That's a unique experience. I mean,
So-
yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a big believer in you don't know what you don't know, right? And so when I pivoted in my career, I had an idea about voice acting, but I didn't know how deep the lake was, so to speak. And so once you take a few classes, like the nighttime program, which was what I was doing,
Yeah.
the light started shining on, oh, there's a lot more here than I realize. And so then you start seeing where the gaps are. And so I knew, okay, if I'm really going to go after this,
Yeah.
I have to fill the gaps.
Comprehensive.
Right. So I was fortunate enough to be able to sign up for the full-time program. And in the first month, I was blown away. I initially came in thinking, oh, I'm just going to practice for the stuff that I've already taken. But instead,
Oh, you just keep going.
I learned
Yeah.
such a deeper level.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm grateful this exists. And
That's
for
so
the
cool.
roster that teaches.
Just pull your mic down just a tiny bit. There you go. Thank you.
Does that work?
And what about you, Brittany? How did you?
I was talking to a career counselor at SFU when I was finishing my English degree this year, actually.
Wow.
I talked to her like last fall, and she was going through different possibilities of careers I could have with this degree, and none of them really like spoke to me. And I was like, I don't want to go into like editing, writing. I didn't want to go into something that I wasn't passionate about fully. And she's like, well, what do you do for fun? What do you enjoy doing? I'm like, well, I like making people laugh. I love doing silly voices. I love doing, I do slam poetry, so a bit of a performance. I sing, so I have experience in studios. And she's like, well, why don't you be a voice actor or like do something like that? And I was like,
Wow.
well, yeah, how do you do that? Like, how do you make a career out of something like that? And she had actually just had a friend that finished the part-time program here.
Okay.
And yeah, the counselor had a friend that had just finished at OTM. And so she told me to contact her and look up the school. And so I just went on the website and I was like, wow, this is awesome. This is legit. So I talked to Harrison. Me and my mom actually came in and talked to him for like a good hour and a half. And he said, yeah, we're starting this full-time program if you might be interested in that more than the part-time. So I took a foundations course this past summer just to kind of dip my toes in the water, and I loved it. So halfway through that, I applied for the full-time and got it, and super over the moon. And yeah, like Robin said, like I've just been learning so much more than I even could have imagined. And it's, half done. It's not even like we're just going up. So
yeah, it's pretty deep. I don't think you've done everything except MP3 and video games, and I think that's it. You've done 10 of the 12 courses, and you just left with MP3 and
we just finished some of them.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like audiobooks, we just finished.
And dubbing today.
And dubbing today.
That's right. You finished dubbing. Yeah, that's right. The big test was today. I saw
Yes.
all you guys out there waiting to go in to do your test. So what have you, so you've come on board, you're invested, you're 12 weeks in. What have you discovered about yourself as a voiceover performer because we're forcing you to dig deep. And I've always said, it's like you got to crack open your rib cage to get into your heart and soul, and because that's where all the gold is, in order to emit the emotions and personality into your reads, whether it's commercials or animation or narration or dubbing or audiobooks, or you know what I mean? So what have you discovered about yourself throughout the first half?
Well, for me, I've been given feedback by most of the instructors that I don't how did they phrase it? Like I don't let go fully. I feel like there's some technical aspect that, I'll probably lose as practice, as time goes on and I have more practice with it, losing I have to do this. I have to be conscious of how I'm doing this and this and this. But also just being more expressive and not caring about passing boundaries and looking like an idiot. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like sometimes I'm there, or I'm like sounding happy by smiling, but you can't always hear it in my voice, which is really interesting to me. Because like I've done in a couple classes, maybe in commercials, I'll do a commercial read, and it's a serious read, but I'm trying not to sound depressing when I'm doing it. So I'll smile, but you can't really always hear it in my voice. And so it's something I also have to be conscious of, that I'm like in the right mindset of who am I talking to, right? Yeah. So the acting is obviously a huge part of it. And I think, I've been learning how to connect with the material.
Connectivity.
Yeah, exactly. That's connect with the audience, connect with the character, with the material.
Rather than just, I'm reading words off a page.
Yeah.
It's like,
because everyone, like I have, announcer, narrator, whatever. I've got voices that I can be consistent with, which is good. And I'm good at sight reading and not, stumbling with my words. Yeah. But the connection is like the key to making it all flow and be believable, which is obviously the main thing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
What about you?
Robin, what about you?
What was the question again?
Well, just like discoveries about yourself as it's
discoveries.
What have you found?
Yeah. So I think mine are about limitations, where I thought my voice had a limitation because of the wheelhouse that I have. And then I started to realize that...
Let me be specifically clear on my understanding. So your wheelhouse meaning what? Your voice, your vocal range?
My natural vocal, where it rests naturally.
Okay.
And then, but through the classes and through the skill of the teachers, they were able to show me that can be expanded upon through pace, through tone, through lots of different ways that I never considered. So I used to think it was impossible for me to do like a character that belongs on a preschool show, right? Because that I just would never have that range, right? And then I discovered over the course of the animation classes that I actually do have the capacity. It's just a matter of finding where that is, where that voice lives.
I've heard it.
That's cool. Do you want to give us a little? No, I
no.
know your voice is hurting right now.
She's like, you had laryngitis.
You've been,
It's not that I wouldn't want to.
Yeah.
So what's it been like for you guys in the space, in the physical space of our school? You know, we got Studio A and Studio B and the green room and the multi-space, and it's kind of like it was specifically designed for the program in the way it's been built, because you've got Studio B to work on in the afternoons, and then Studio A and the multi-space for all of your classwork in the mornings. And so what's the vibe like in here? Like what are you feeling about that?
Studio A is great. I mean, it can fit all of us at one time if need be.
Yeah.
So that's awesome, because
Okay.
we've had
10 people.
It's got 10 mics. And when Peter was doing our classes, I think at a certain points we had all of us in here, and he would just boom, boom, boom go, and we could jump around and like do a character of someone on that side talking to a character on this side, because it's all about, you're just listening to the, you don't need to see each other super well, but we can if we need to.
Yeah.
Studio B's been great, because I stay a lot after school to do recordings with people and just get feedback, because like we do have home studios, most of us, but it's also great to have your peers, you know, doing the directing, practicing, engineering.
You gave me direction on one of my auditions. I had an audition for my agent in New York, and I was like, it's a narration thing. And so Brittany and James and Katie was there.
Yes.
And and I just kind of did my thing, and like, you know, okay, here's my lines of narration. What do you think? And you were like, try this and do that. And then it was cool for me too, because getting that feedback, you know, was just what I needed. I needed that other perspective of like, you know,
And that's the thing, like even when you've been doing this for how many years, like there's always a chance to get feedback from someone that's I would say we're peers. I am a student, but it's cool to like work alongside people of different levels in the industry, different experience levels.
Well, you have an ear, and you've been watching TV and movies and commercials and for a long time, and so why wouldn't you have an opinion about what works and what doesn't, and what words to hit? And it was cool for me.
Yeah, there's so many different opinions to be shared too. Like I'm sure, you know, James and Katie, they might have had a different thought, and I think some of them did speak up at one point, or maybe try this, and it's cool to get all that kind of smushed together, and then you can take it and process it and just give us your best.
I tried hard. I did.
Did you get the job?
I don't think I did
Not
on
yet.
that one, but it's all good. I mean,
So no lunch. Damn.
well, there'll be a lunch later. So what? How about you, Robin? Like the space, the vibe, the feel in here. What's it like?
So what's tremendous about this is that you have, we have 10 in the class, but during the night classes, we have 8 in the class. And to have that many people at the mic at once, and even if it's not all at once, they're just popping up, and one does their assignment and then sits down.
Right.
Or does their read, rather. You learn so much by being immersed in it.
Totally.
And seeing and listening to the feedback that they're getting, and you get to observe their adjustments. And then we haven't gotten to it in the program yet, but when we get to prelay, which is level 3 in animation, and you get to see how the whole script unfolds, and everybody, the parts, you see the machine, the cogs in the machine, and how
like
they
a radio
all work
play,
together.
like everybody has their own
It's
lines and
fantastic.
characters, and
that
Have you
everybody's
seen that?
on board.
Like, have you seen a lot, like a prelay being? Because you did animation, obviously, but
Well, I took the class with Carl Willems,
okay,
which
I
is
see.
So
you've
I
been
saw it
there
on that
here.
level, and
Okay. Cool.
So,
that's cool.
it's phenomenal to be in that energy. Also, the crash test auditions.
Oh yeah,
events
crash
that you
test,
have, they do the same thing.
Okay.
So,
Cool.
So, are you having fun?
absolutely, this is amazing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it like what were your expectations coming in? Because I guess it's hard. It's like this is the first one of its kind in the English speaking world. It is, you know, there's other part-time stuff, but it does exist. But this was like, okay, this is 480 hours of curriculum, 6 months. You know, you're doing this 5 days a week. Like, what were the expectations coming in? Did you have any in terms of the instructors and the space, and like what was the expectations coming in, and how have we met that?
Do you want me to take this? Okay, because you looked at me funny. So I'm kidding.
I was still processing, so I'm like, go.
I got it. So, my first impressions were that this was going to be practice for me because I already took a bunch of classes here.
Right.
And that I was going to fill the gaps,
Yeah.
which I have been.
Yeah.
But when I got here and put it in practice, the classes I got that I took before, there were so many of them that we were able to dive so much more deeply. And then I started to really see, like, for example, voice and movement. I had taken that at night, and there were 4 classes in 1 month. And I kind of got it, but kind of didn't. But I knew that it was good for me. And But now having the voice and movement daily over a 4 days out of
4
5,
or 5 days a week,
for 6 months is pretty tremendous. And now I'm starting to understand the purpose behind it and make it a habit. You know, they say 30 days to make a habit. Well, what will 6 months do, right?
Yeah.
So, and also the background, again, of the teachers, that they're bringing really high caliber training and they're sharing it.
Yeah.
And you see them on TV.
Yeah. Here's my teacher. I'll see you tomorrow.
Professionals. They're working
Or
professionals.
you hear them on TV and
Exactly.
radio, movies.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
see
I think
my
that's
point.
a cool thing because, like, professors at universities that aren't artistic involvement, like they've written papers and they do lectures and they've written books or whatever, but you don't really feel that connection of like them to their work when you're being taught by them. But here, like, I really do. And I'm sure we all do. It's and obviously there's been examples, like we've watched in Diana's class, we've watched a cartoon and Peter's voice popped up somewhere, or sorry, Peter New.
It was Peter New.
Yeah, as one of the characters, and like it's crazy to know that and to see that as you're learning. You're like, these are people like currently in this industry and being very much present and exemplifying what they're teaching us.
Yeah.
So, and you
That's
too.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, I dabble.
Yeah, well, we'll be sitting home at watching TV, and I'll say, there's my commercials teacher.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, I know her.
Yeah.
She's another teacher there.
Was it Jacqueline or Kendall or?
I want to say it was Rona Reese.
Oh,
doing
Rona.
doing
Yeah.
the Hyundai
Yeah.
commercials, is that
That's
it?
right. Yeah. Rona's doing
And
the Hyundai.
then I saw Dale Wolf doing a brick commercial.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought
He directs me in all the brick stuff that I do.
Yeah.
I heard one the other day. I think it was Brick, and I was like, "Is that Dale?" I swear, but I didn't
So
look
funny.
any of these up. But yeah.
So what are your strengths coming into the program? Like in terms of like performance wise or stamina wise, or what are some things that you naturally bring to the table as a voiceover performer coming in? Natural strengths as a performer.
Natural strengths.
That you found that you can kind of lean on through the learning process.
Well, I have, I think, a fairly high confidence level. Obviously, very open to. I love feedback.
Yeah.
Please tell me if I could be doing something better.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I do have a higher confidence level, I think, in what I'm putting out. I took some acting classes at Douglas College even and loved it.
Yeah.
Did really well. So I feel like I'm really comfortable with acting and the idea of believability as becoming a different character in your head. But just connecting the dots and coming out of my shell, I think, is what I needed to work on and am still working on.
That's a hard one to do. I mean, it's like I think I've been doing it for 25 years, and I think I've finally worn the coverage or the sheath that's been around me as a performer. I've worn it so thin that I just know that when I get up there, it's like I'm just free to like just give it, and it's like I give myself that license and that permission to be whoever I want to be or can be in a character or in a commercial, and just share, because I just go, it's just coming from my heart and soul. That's all I can be.
Yeah.
I can't, you know what I mean? And so, and you'll continue to get there. You'll continue to shave that off so that it's like you let go of the care of like, who you're going to be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, completely. I think I'm also like definitely a perfectionist in everything. Mostly like in my work. So in things that I'm doing, I want to make sure that they're not like necessarily perfect, but just that I'm doing all the things that I'm supposed to be doing. And that's part of the technical aspect that I mentioned.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to not try and do it the way I'm supposed to do it, instead of just thinking I am this character. How crazy can this character be? Or how upset is this character? Or how, ridiculous. Like, it's not like you're at a level. Ooh, my bad.
That's all good.
I'm at a level 5. Like you're at a specific, like be a 7, be an 8. Like I'm trying not to consciously do levels of energy or like if they say go crazy, it's easier to take it down than to bring it up. So I'm trying to get that mentality of like bring it up to an 8 right away, and if they need me, exactly, then I can pull back, right? But if I'm not sure where I'm supposed to be, it's hard for me to push up there once I've started small.
Yeah,
so.
go too far. It's kind of getting back to the kid like energy that when we were a kid, we just like my 3-year-old daughter doesn't care about anything. She's just like, I'm going to be a crazy person. Blah, blah, blah. She just doesn't like, and it's kind of getting back to that freedom.
Yeah.
What about you, Robin?
Okay. Question.
Yeah. For me or for my?
What are the performance strengths that you brought naturally to the table that you noticed while you were learning? You're like, wow, I'm actually really good at this. Like I didn't have to think about it too much.
I think having been in an industry where you take a lot of critiques, I brought that in, easily. I don't have you've heard of the poop sandwich?
Yeah.
Where you say something nice, and then you give the criticism, and then you say something nice again.
Right.
It's the poop sandwich, right?
Yeah.
So I'm very familiar with that.
Yeah. Well, you've been around. I mean, I mean, let's say it. You've animated part of The Matrix and, Lord of the Rings and Titanic, and, so you've seen it.
Well, yeah, I've seen criticism at a high level, and I've seen how it's given and how to take it, and that it's not personal. And so that's the
I think a lot of
strength that I come here with is to understand they're not asking for a good version because the other version was bad. They're asking for a different flavor, like ice cream. You know, they're asking for mango.
Well, listen, it's so great to have you a part of this program.
Yeah.
We worked tirelessly for many, many years to create it. So to have you in the first iteration is so cool for Noel and I. And thanks for doing this today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Well, thanks
and
for
I can't
having
wait to
us.
see and hear your voices all over the world.
Us too.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Cheers.